Carla Caleruega looked like a princess, but thought like a criminal mastermind. She controlled situations without raising her voice, stayed calm when everything was falling apart, and made decisions that always worked in her favor. There are 4 psychological secrets behind why she could do that, and we're breaking all of them down in this video. Welcome back to A Girl Secrets. Today, we're diving into the iconic mindset of Carla Rosón Caleruega. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the name right, to be honest, but that's my best attempt, from the show Elite. If you've never watched the show, it's about an elite high school where a girl is murdered, and the story revolves around the investigation, slowly revealing the characters as potential suspects. Carla is one of those characters. She's a Marques's daughter and belongs to the Spanish nobility. I'll be honest, a lot of the time her actions made my blood boil. I can't say why without spoiling the show, so if you know, you know. But there was something about her that was undeniably powerful, iconic, and strong. She was a very powerful antagonist with qualities that gave her the upper hand and allowed her to quietly pull the strings while everyone else was too emotional to notice. And that's what we're breaking down today. We'll be uncovering 3 secrets behind Carla's unstoppable power, each one building on the previous, and one root that made it all possible. So let's dive in. The first component, one thing I couldn't help but admire about Carla was how dangerously calm she stayed, even in the situations that would have sent almost anyone spiraling. Her face would remain neutral. Her mind would start turning. No outbursts, no yelling or impulsivity. The calmness is what seemed to allow her to pull everything off because she didn't lose her composure. She could analyze situations from a neutral point of view and choose the best possible course of action. But here's the first twist. Staying calm wasn't actually the most powerful part. It was just what made the next step possible. There was something more important she could do because she stayed calm. Something that made her truly unstoppable. But first, how did she even manage to stay that calm? And more importantly, how can you? Carla is naturally calculated. The actress herself even highlighted this in a Netflix video. She wants power and control over her life and everything around her. You see this in how she dates. She often chooses partners who are less wealthy than her because money creates a power imbalance. She can influence their actions, buy them things, and feel the difference in control. She also tends to go for calmer and more codependent partners, people who look to her before acting and let her make decisions in the relationship, like her boyfriend Polo. Now, this is not something to replicate in your own life. It's not healthy, but it shows something important about her psychology. Carla needs control, and when someone craves control, the first thing they learn to control is themselves. The most useful place that control shows up isn't money or relationships, it's emotional regulation. In critical moments, Carla doesn't immediately react or break down. You can literally see her face processing the information as soon as she receives it. When her father tells her that their business is going bankrupt, she doesn't explode or cry. You can see her face remaining mostly neutral. She slightly leaned back and glazed over with analysis. Every time, her first thought is, what can I do about this? And her second thought, which is even more important, we'll get into in a moment. When you react emotionally, you give up control of the situation. You're being pulled by impulse that usually leads you somewhere you didn't want to go. How many times have you said things in an argument you didn't mean? Double, triple, or quadruple texted someone and regretted it. Made a rushed decision just because you were emotional. I've done all of those. And this is exactly how I once made a decision that cost me thousands of dollars. I once lived in an apartment with 2 friends. Everything was great at first, but one of them started partying a lot, which I don't mind, live your life, but he also started bringing random guys home from clubs. Our rooms were connected by a door, and one night, one of those drunk guys started banging on my door at 2 a.m. The door had no lock. I went out telling them to stop it. The guy just started yelling at me, so drunk he thought I was his ex. I left. The next morning they apologized, but I was so angry and overwhelmed that I said I was moving out, and I did that same day. That rush decision cost me a lot. I went from renting an amazing apartment apartment in the city center for around $400 a month to living in a tiny dorm room for over $1,000. Bad location, moldy ceilings, no kitchen, worse flatmates, endless problems. If I had paused even briefly and thought rationally, I would have realized I could have talked to him, set boundaries, put a lock on the door. I had an incredible apartment during a housing crisis, but I reacted emotionally and I've regretted it ever since. Rash emotional decisions almost never end well, and this is exactly why Carla is so successful. But here's the thing, if you're like me, emotional by nature, simply telling yourself to stay calm doesn't work. What actually helps? First, realize no one can make you feel something. When you think someone is frustrating or annoying, they aren't inherently frustrating. You're feeling frustrated. When you blame others for your emotions, you give away your power. When you realize that you control your response, that power comes back. Second, detachment. When something happens, imagine the situation and your thoughts in front of you. Then imagine them floating down a river or like clouds moving across the sky. This visualization immediately creates the feeling of distance from the problem and gives you space to think. If visualization doesn't work, use logic. Try noticing words like never, always, nothing, worst, best. That's called black and white thinking, a cognitive distortion. It feels good short term because it validates your emotions, but long term, it leads to messy decisions. For example, my boyfriend never plans dates. Ask yourself, is never actually true? It's not about you, babes, I love you. My boyfriend just looked over at me as soon as I said that. Has there ever been a time it wasn't? Usually, the answer is yes. Also, remind yourself, two things can be true at once. Yes, maybe he doesn't plan much, and he emotionally supports you. That realization brings you back into rational thinking, viewing whoever you have conflict with as a person again instead of a monster out to get you, allowing you to make decisions more rationally. But here's the important part. Staying calm is not the goal. It is only the doorway. Here's where Carla goes further. Component number 2. What truly made her a mastermind was what she did right after she stayed calm. A perfect example of this, the moment in the show when Carla's friend Lou finds out that the girl they trusted was faking her entire life and planning to steal donation money. Lou wants to expose her immediately. Carla stops her and says, think about it. Is it really worth creating scandal right now in front of reporters and everyone here? While Lou was focused on humiliation and emotional release, Carla was thinking about consequences. A friend once told me something that stuck with me. He said, life is a series of trade-offs, just like economics. Every choice sacrifices something to gain something else. When you lash out emotionally, you're trading long-term credibility, status, and leverage for what feels like justice in the moment. Some trade-offs are worth it, some are not. She always asks, what is the cost of each action that can be taken, and which trade-off is worth it. But this is how she protects her ability to calculate. Carla never engages in drama. While everyone else is obsessed with who hates whom, who slept with whom, and who has more money, or who's getting better grades, Carla observes. She does her own thing. She walks away from parties when they turn chaotic. She doesn't respond to insults and doesn't fight unless absolutely necessary. Not because she's passive, scared, or lazy, but because she understands one powerful truth. Your energy is sacred. Drama and gossip, drain it. Carla is selective about where her energy goes. Drainers like drama, fights, gossip don't make the cut. And because she doesn't waste it, she has enough left to stay calm and think strategically when it matters most. And the reason she can do all of this, Carla's allure wouldn't exist without the thing that gives her strength to stay calm and calculated, knowing exactly who she is. When you truly know yourself, your values, your triggers, your strengths, your weaknesses, what matters to you, and even smaller things like what your favorite color means or your Enneagram, you become more sure of yourself, more confident. Carla doesn't need to overproject confidence like Lou. She knows her worth and doesn't feel the need to convince anyone of it. This lack of need for validation or approval allows her to live her life on her own terms without looking to others for what to do or where to engage. Her self-knowledge makes her feel strong enough to observe without immediately engaging. This is why no one has control over her, yet she controls the narrative, her own and oftentimes of others. So if you want to think like Carla, start by getting to know yourself deeply. And a fun place to start, your feminine archetype. Check out this video next to dive into your self-discovery and unlock your inner superpowers. Thank you guys so much for watching. This video was really fun to make, and let me know what you guys think of her, if you've ever seen the show, who your favorite character is, and which other characters from other shows and movies do you like. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!